Hi people, I hope you really enjoyed the last edition on the rights of tenants. But today we will not be looking at the rights of tenants, we'll be looking at the rights of landlords. Yes, it is not only the tenants that have rights. The landlords themselves as citizens, they also have rights, and it will surprise you. Most of these rights are being overlooked or neglected. Now, the essence of us having this session or this edition is not just for the landlords. Even as a tenant, it is important that you listen or you understand the rights your landlords have, so that you know when they are overstepping their boundaries, or you know better on how to understand them. The landlords themselves are also citizens that have their own rights. And also, who knows, tomorrow as a tenant, you might not always even be a tenant. Tomorrow you might turn out to be a landlord. So it is necessary you not only know your rights as a tenant, it is also important that you know your rights as a landlord. So we'll be looking at these points one after the other. The first point is the right of entry. Every landlord reserves the right of entry into the premise which he has rented or leased out. The fact that a landlord has rented a property out or leased out a property does not mean that he has relinquished his ownership. There are two different things. Upon rentage or lease of a property, the landlord still reserves the ownership, but he gives out possession, so he still retains ownership. But this right should not be abused by the landlord. For a landlord to have entry into a rented or leased property, he deserves to notify the tenant either in writing or in person, whichever mode they have both decided at which to communicate this. So the landlord should notify the tenant about his desire to enter the property, either for inspection purposes or for the purpose of repairs. So he should notify the tenants. The second point we'll be looking at is the right of renewal. Yes, every landlord does not or is not under any mandate to renew. He deserves the right to renew, or he deserves the right not to renew the tenancy. So you will not say, yes, I have been a tenant for over 20 years. He has no right to send me packing. He has no right to ask me to quit his premises. No, the landlord is also a person, and there are reasons why the landlord might decide to terminate the tenancy. So he deserves, or he has the right to seek for renewal, or the right not to seek for renewal. And that is why, like we emphasized in our previous edition on the rights of tenants, it is important for you to know the contents of the agreement, because it is an important clause in the tenancy. You see the right of renewal. So most agreements have written in them if there is either an option for renewal, or if there is no option for renewal. It will be stipulated in the agreement which you have collected upon entry into the premises or the property. So the landlord has the right to renew. He has the right not to renew the tenancy. So do not get angry if he decides not to renew the tenancy. It is his right, and everything would have been stipulated therein, so you know the next step, or you know what to do, or it doesn't hit you by surprise. The next point we'll be looking at today is the right to review the rents. I know this point is a very, very controversial aspect. In fact, it is the aspect which the tenants do not like, because it involves money. The right to review the rent is exclusive to the landlord. The landlord has the right. The law covers the landlord who decides that I want to increase the rentage. We would look at it that even for ordinary businessmen, when they go to the market to purchase their things or their goods, it will be unfair to sell a good lesser than the price you have gotten it, because the landlords themselves are business people. Those properties, those fixtures, those structures, those equipments, those materials that have been used to build that house have been bought with money. So for them to have value for their money, there's a tendency for them to increase the rentage, especially with the rising prices of things or the rising price of commodities. So at one point in time, the landlord would want to increase the rent. But take note, as much as the law covers this aspect of the landlord's review of the rent, it does not give the landlord the right to abuse this right. And what do we mean by that? The landlord cannot review the tenancy while it is still subsisting. It is upon expiration of the tenancy that such a right can take effect, meaning that if your rent has not expired, the landlord cannot be talking of increase. For example, if you have paid for a year tenancy, say from January to December, and then in June the landlord is coming to tell you that the price of things have gone up, so that's 100,000 naira you paid for me for 1 year, I would like you to add an extra 30,000 naira to it. It doesn't work that way. The tenancy has to be expired before the review or the increase can take effect. And all these are always stipulated in the agreement, and that is why while the tenancy is still running, the landlord can give or issue a notice of increase before the expiration. The notice of increase does not mean that it is going to take effect while it is still subsisting. It only takes effect upon the expiration of the rent or upon the expiration of the tenancy before the next renewal can take place. So I hope with this point you have been well educated on your right as a landlord, and you as a tenant also have been well equipped on your landlord's rights. Thank you for listening. Do have a wonderful day ahead.